everybody, as Defisho and I are joined by Alliance's Tabs to tell us about that win versus a super hot crew. Going into picks and bans, what did you really have your mind set on getting?
We had a very specific idea going into the champion select. We wanted to stop their bot lane from snowballing on us. So that's why we really prefer Thresh and Caitlyn, a lane that can play very defensively. We let Pantheon go through exactly for that reason. Because we had Thresh, we could just avoid his ganks and never die at bot lane, even though he was there for basically 20 minutes.
I actually want to hear more about the lane Thresh Caitlyn, because most people consider it one of the strongest 2v2 lanes, supposed to win the lane, pressure all the time. What is your general opinion about the lane?
Oh yeah, I definitely agree that Thresh and Caitlyn is one of the strongest duo lanes you can have. But you don't necessarily have to play aggressive with it. You can also play defensive, because just because of their team focusing bot lane so much with ganks and Pantheon, we just tended to stay back and not die instead.
All right, so you say that the champion picks are very important. How in general, how strong do you think that Mr. Raleigh and Mixa are as a bottom lane, even if they don't get the ideal champions?
I think that their bot lane is definitely the key to their wins, and that's why they play that way as well. They tend to gank bot a lot to get them snowballing, yeah.
Then I would like to hear what you think about Alliance as a team. You guys have been up and down. We can say you're further down the standings than maybe expected when the season started. What do you think has been like the main issue for you guys as a team?
Definitely we were a really young team in the start. We were overconfident, and we didn't adapt the right way. That's why we started off so badly, and it was a wake-up call for us to go 0-4, and since then we've been stepping it up every week.
Pulling it back to the game, because you mentioned being overconfident. You had quite a lead in this game. How did you make sure you were able to close it out? What was the key?
We pulled off our strategy very patiently. We were like, okay, both of our solo lanes are winning. Our bot lane is like doing fine as well, so we can just do a 1-3-1 split push and end out the game.
So team fights are obviously very essential in that matter as well, and you guys did very well, and we actually have an example of that one.
Yeah, we have a replay. It's the 28-minute mark. We're going to see, if we bring up the replay to the screen here, it's just when Wicked is teleporting in and Super Crew has been pushing up towards your lane. Can you just talk me through the team fight when we roll the clip here? You just talk about everything you want.
Okay, so basically here, Frogger managed to get behind their team because he was play pushing bot. We managed to catch out Leona very well. Basically from here on out, we already killed the key target, so we're just cleaning up. And Wicked was really fat, so he just runs in and kills everyone. And Pantheon makes a little mistake here, staying too long, so I net over the wall and kill him, so we get the uncontested Baron.
And this was obviously the fight that gave you guys the Baron, as you just said. You managed to then pretty much get the lead you needed to really pull through. You got another Baron later on. In the game itself, was there any point where you're thinking, we need to push, we need to end this game, or you're just taking it all slow and you knew you had like the better combo?
Yeah, we definitely just took it slow all game long.
All right, well, good win for you guys in the first win here for Super Week, but you still got 3 games to come and some serious games. You got the Copenhagen Wolves, you got ROC, you got Gambit in there. Let's go through them and maybe starting with the Copenhagen Wolves and that bottom lane, or what the biggest threat is for that team.
Yeah, I think Copenhagen Wolves is very similar to Super Hot Crew in that regard. They really rely on their bot lane to win. So we just pick out a strategy and we should be good against them.
What's your opinion about Gambit then, who you also play, of course? They're one of the top teams in Europe. What do you think about Gambit?
I think Gambit is very unpredictable. They're just really good. They're really good individually, really good at team play. And yeah, I'm really scared of them.
As long as we're going through the motions, what about Rocket?
Now we're talking about similarities. I think Rocket is very similar to Gambit, where they're really unpredictable, especially their mid and jungler. They tend to do very well, so you got to be careful.
Then I would actually like to hear, because you obviously were in Lemon Dogs last season, a very different team from now. What is maybe the difference between Alliance and Lemon Dogs practice-wise, for instance?
With Lemon Dogs, we tended to just grind out games from 1 to like 11 in the evening, so it was really long practice days. With Alliance, we tend to take the scrims a bit more, like, how do you say it, like only 3 hours, and then another 3 hours after dinner. It leaves more time for solo queue as well.
And how important do you actually feel solo queue is? Because it's always something we see pro players that play a lot of solo queue. Some don't actually. Yeah. And people kind of argue back and forth. Is it important to play solo queue?
Yeah, it's very important because solo queue is where all the new trends start and all the new overpowered picks are discovered. And it helps you keep up with your mechanics as well.
Right, very interesting. Got to get in that solo queue. The next game we got coming up here is Millennium versus Rocket. Millennium need a win here today. They lost earlier. Defisho, how do you think they're going to do?
Rocket is obviously the favorite, but everything can happen in these games. Millennium, as you said yourself, they need the win. I expect them to pull out a very strong early game combo, win the early game, and then beat Rocket.
All right, Tabs, what do you think?
I really know, like, Millennium, they haven't really been doing too well lately. Even though their bot lane managed to win the lane very hard, they didn't manage to snowball it through, and that was really a shame. So I don't feel too good for Millennium.
All right, what we're going to see, thank you very much for talking to us, and congratulations, of course. And now we're going to head back over to Joe and Quickshot.
Thank you very much, guys. It is time for our final let me try that one again. LCS game of day one here in Super Week as ROCAT take on Millennium. Heading into this game, ROCAT hold the lead 2-0 against Millennium. Their week one game featuring ROCAT playing Evelynn and Renekton, picking apart Millennium, to be honest, piece by piece, thanks to, well, one man in the jungle. Jankos did amazingly for them that game. The next time that these two teams played was during week 4, and again, ROCAT came out ahead.
Yeah, so both times in favor of ROCAT. I want to talk about that win during week 4. The game had a slower pace, as is normal with Millennium games, and Overpower actually built a Spirit of the Spectral Wraith. It was the first time that we'd seen it in the LCS. He built it on Ziggs. Over the course of the 47-minute game, he earned himself 1,600 gold on that item. He ended up going 5-1-8. Even though ROCAT took their time to win the game, it was incredibly close. And with teams trading kills and objectives until finally ROCAT grabbed the lead, it was a positive sign for Millennium, but it's one of those few and infrequent positive signs that we see.
And these teams lost both of their games last week, but to be honest, they're in very different positions. ROCAT looked to be unstoppable during the opening 5 weeks of games. They lost some form of late, losing 3 out of their last 5 games. However, earlier today, they took down Gambit in the longest and possibly best game we've seen all season.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was incredibly exciting, and I feel like ROCAT as a team have been in a small slump. They took a few days off 2 weeks ago, but I'm not quite ready to say that this will continue. Based on the game earlier today, ROCAT looked to be in much better shape. They had stronger lanes, they had strong team fights, they were maybe a little bit over-aggressive, which is why Gambit pulled themselves in, but at the end they secured the win. The match was epic. Multiple Barons, countless team fights, great plays from both teams, and I think I have to highlight Overpower once again for a fantastic performance. This time was on Gragas. He blew people up in the late game. He went 5-3-8, grabbed 445 CS. You have to be wary when he's on a champion like that.
Millennium, though, on the other hand, they really need to find some synergy. They've got the strongest top laner in the league with Kevin, but he can't win games 1v5. The team needs to rally behind the members that are performing well and finding some synergy before time runs out for him. I mean, look at Kevin's stats there. He is playing absolutely amazing. Apart from having the most kills and least deaths in the top lane, he's also got the second highest assists on that top side of the map. Earlier today, though, Kevin wasn't able to have the usual positive impact that we're used to seeing out of him, but the rest of his team managed to step up their game. Millennium had that strong early game, which is something we're not 100% used to seeing from them, and Creaton on Tristana got himself an early lead over Candy Panda's Jinx.
Yeah, and I think the problem is, though, even though Millennium started strong, they simply didn't have strong initiation power that the SK Gaming had. SK threw Pantheon and Annie at them multiple times and allowed SK to secure advantages. Millennium need to work on having clearer initiation. When we see them having champions like Vi and Annie, they perform very well in the mid game. But then with even Thresh, which is what they've been defaulting to lately, relying solely on a hook or a flank has not produced any results all split long. And I think this was also demonstrated by the buff control in that game. During the match versus SK earlier today, SK got 11 blues and 11 red buffs. Millennium only secured 5 blues and 5 red buffs. In a game that only lasted 50 minutes, they weren't even able to contest for their own buffs. Ended up going 12, 24, 22, which is also not great statistics for them either.
Well, let's get into the starting lineup, starting off on the blue side with ROCAT. They are Xaxus in the top lane, Jankos in the jungle, Overpower in the mid lane, and a duo lane of Celiver and Vanda.
And on the red side, nothing has changed from the earlier game for Millennium. Kevin's up top, Arenea's in the jungle, Kerp in the mid lane, Creaton on AD carry, and Jerry playing the support role.
So let's look further forward in towards picks and bans. We've seen a couple of new things coming out, actually, for Millennium. Obviously, that Morgana coming into things. Interesting to see how the bottom lane has really worked out for them because Jerry's not been scared to try a couple of different champions. Zillion is one that obviously pops into your mind.
So Jerry is not afraid to play different champions, but the level of success is what matters. I think for this game, Evelynn is definitely going to be priority. Rocket banned it against Gambit because Diamond likes to run it. I wouldn't be surprised to see them banning that also against Aranea, who he's been trending towards as well.
So here we go then into pick some bans, and first one out of the gate is LeBlanc, something that we've been seeing commonly banned against Millennium, obviously taken away from Kerp in the mid lane. Also a Lulu ban coming out. It seems like the second half of today teams are getting more used to banning Lulu. It's been a problem overall.
I'm wondering about Elise now. If one of these teams want to ban that out and maybe get it off the table, we've seen Aranea defaulting to the likes of Lee Sin, which is a similar type of playstyle, very mobile, very in your face, and I wonder if this isn't a consideration for Rocket. Do they want to target Aranea again, who has been struggling? There's the answer. They're going to ban that Trundle, taking it away from Kevin, and not wanting it for Xaxus either.
Well, final ban actually was Renekton here for Millennium, which tells me that Rocket may just think about first picking that Elise. They've done really well with it, to be honest with you, and I think only lost 2 games so far with that Elise, or maybe even 1 Elise. They lost against SK Gaming with it, and that was it so far this season.
They also got Elise earlier today, and it was a first pick against Gambit, so I definitely think it's a possibility. You have to consider the likes of Thresh as well, which is a very important pick for Vander. If Vander doesn't have Thresh, he goes to Morgana. If he doesn't have Morgana, he goes to Lulu, and we'll have to see what he's going to play in this matchup.
Also interested to see what Aranea goes for now that Elise has been taken away. Obviously, Evelynn has been something he's gone to, but that's banned out this time around. We do know that Millennium are going to be picking up Lucian at least for this game. Aranea just playing to the crowd a little bit before settling on Ziggs for Kerp.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Rocket lock in something like a Caitlyn and a Gragas now. They know the AD carries there. Alternatively, they could even go for a jungler if they wanted to get Pantheon in their list. Pantheon was banned against them by Gambit earlier. It is a champion that they've done well on, but I think when you consider that a team has already played a champion earlier in the day and done well with it, like a Gragas, like a Caitlyn, for example, there's that comfort factor that comes with knowing you performed, knowing you've delivered it. And Rocket, they're really thinking about this picks. They've used a lot of the time through that final pick, the first pick, and really making sure they run this clock down.
Well, let's see a lot of discussion going through there. You can see Jankos on the left just barking out the orders. He's currently hovering over Caitlyn, not giving anything away with that pick since the Lucian was already secured for Creaton over on the other side.
Could be Annie.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're gonna go in for the support, and it will be Annie.
So Annie is the 4th champion that Vander has played, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is the 2nd time he's played her. He's only played 4 champions this split, and not only is he playing this champion because he doesn't want to go for the likes of Thresh, he's taken Annie away from J. Reed. It's one of the hard initiations that Millennium have to work with.
Well, on the other side here, the crowd cheering for it there as it came up on the screen. Blitzcrank in for J. Reed, picked by Creaton, and Lee Sin for Aranea as well. There are, Blitzcrank in particular is a champion where if you do not land those skill shots, you're not doing much.
So there's 2 very important things about Blitzcrank. Number 1, you need to have the vision to make the grabs work. With the Blitz, you need to be running forward, you need to be in a line. So in a jungle, for example, grabbing somebody over the wall. It also means that against a team like Rocket, who like to split push, and who like to go in, a 1-3-1 or a 1-4 setup, Blitzcrank is very, very effective in those situations. You can grab somebody from the split push, kill them, and run down the rest of the team. It's a different way of dealing with the initiation problem that Millennium have, and it does look like they're going to run with it.
There we go, Mordekaiser for the 2nd time this season here for Rocket. Their last time that they picked this one was against the Super Hot Crew. 109 overpower pulled out with that one, and also a Mundo for the top lane, something that Xaxus has fallen back onto quite a few times so far. That leaves Kevin the chance here, though, to pick what he wants against that Mundo in the top lane.
What I love about those picks from Rocket is if you're a Mundo or a Mordekaiser, you are happy to get hooked. You are happy to eat a rocket grab in the mid to late game. Look at the rest of the team. Outside of that knock-up and the silence from Blitzcrank, there's not a whole lot of crowd control. There's very little on-hit stuns or things like that. So you pull Mordekaiser or Mundo in, they run amok in and amongst your team, and if Mordekaiser gets a good ultimate, Children of the Grave for example, he can grab himself a Ziggs clone, a Lee Sin clone, or a Lucian clone.
Well, we are going to be seeing Aatrox locked in for this top lane for Kevin. Actually will be the first time that we've seen him play Aatrox throughout this season so far. So interesting to see how he does on that one. We talked about him being such a solid player for Millennium and the most solid top laner really around, but the rest of his team have got to kind of get up to that level here statistically if Millennium are to have a chance of pulling themselves up in the league, I'm afraid.
The one thing I do like about the pickup on the side of Millennium is it's going to allow Kevin to make those plays. I think in terms of compositions, Rockets is a little bit more traditional. You've got Annie for your engage, you've got a Cocoon coming out of Jankos' Elise that can set things up and allow Mundo and Maud to run circles around the team. Over on the side of Millennium, however, you're going to be quite reliant on a Blitzcrank hook and poke from Ziggs to be setting up those mid-game team fights. Lee and Aatrox are pretty good dive buddies, but they need to be ahead or stronger if they want to shut down a Maud or a Caitlyn, for example, on that back line.
So guys, with this match just about to begin, let's see where you think that win will end up. And according to LOLesports.com, 87% of you have voted for ROC to win this one. I'd like to say I'm surprised, but I'm not.
No, definitely not. In comparison to the two teams, who's in form and who's already picked up a win today, I think that is a fair vote. I would, however, say that Millennium have gone for a different group of champions to what we're used to seeing from them. And it's one of the best ways that you can actually break a losing spree or break a poor show of form. Change it up completely, play a different style, play a different flavor, and see if that works in your favor.
And we shouldn't really forget here, this is top versus bottom right now in the European LCS. We are going to get into game. It's ROCAT versus Millennium. Can the bottom place team upset ROCAT, who beat Gambit in an absolute monster of a game earlier on in the day, and can overpower on his trusty Mordekaiser, bring up the goods once again for the Polish squad. We're going to find out here in the next few minutes. Let's talk about level 1. Will we see anything come down from these two teams with that Blitzcrank there to pull anyone around?
Well, you've stolen the words from me, because the team that is most likely to set something up would be the likes of Millennium. They're the sole LCS team that has made plays in the early game. They're not afraid to get engaged. You can actually see J-Rees hanging down in the bottom lane rather, going to line up for a blind rocket grab. You see that going in. Salivar, a little bit aware of the potential and not even at risk. I think Millennium are the only team that has done this in a large number of their games. Try to roam, try to invade. It hasn't necessarily always worked out for them, but it's good that they're at least trying.
Well, Jerry's not done just yet. He's actually moving once again into the back of that Dragon Pit to see if there are any pickings for him. Vander's actually sat back by Wraiths, and there goes another rocket grab. To no avail, though, for Millennium, and I think with that, they're just going to end up backing away from things completely.
So there's two things I want to point out about that. Not only did Jerry try and not succeed, 2 rocket grabs burns through his entire mana pool at this stage of the game. So the rocket grabs are going to happen in lane and in his opening 5 to 10 minutes are so crucial for Jerry to land. But what is good is Vander on Annie is a fairly easy target to hit. There's no mobility spells on that Annie. She's not going to be able to dodge unless she flashes. So assuming J-Ree's, on point with that rocket grab, that could be where they secure themselves an advantage.
Well, Critton just dropping from the game there. Hopefully just a quick restart of his client to get things going from this and back into the game. And that's not the kind of pressure that Millennium maybe want at this early stage of the game, considering the fact they're bottom of the league. They need some wins right now.
Yeah, it's very, very important for them. I think if we look at the play from earlier today, Rocket had a very strong showing in their laning phase, as did Millennium.
Yeah.
Millennium against SK was very good early on. It was very chaotic, actually. Rocket were able to garner a lead, but then they were overly aggressive, and that's what allowed Gambit back in that match. For this game, if Millennium can also have another strong start to the game, champions like Ziggs, like Blitz, like Aatrox, if they can get ahead, they can stay ahead. They've got the tools to pick you can grab a rocket grab, get a kill, kick you back with Lee Sin, and we know Arnea likes to make those plays, so we'll see if they can do it.
And to be that guy or not. If they miss those rocket grabs, if the Qs aren't connecting in the right place for Aranea. As you said, in the lane phase specifically, it's a lot of mana for that rocket grab over and over again. And after that's down, on the long cooldown that it has, that's basically free harass for quite a while in this bottom lane. We'll see how that one all works out. From apparently Critton just having to have his machine swapped out, so hopefully within 5 minutes or so we'll be able to get this one back underway.
I think we're even more efficient than that, John. We'll see. The new machine was there, so we should see how quickly we get up and running. But I think the range factor is very important. On the side of ROC, you've got Caitlyn and Annie. It is the longest range duo in the game. Annie's auto attack range is immensely long. Caitlyn's got the longest default auto attack range for the lane. And they're going up against Lucian, who's shorter range than Caitlyn, and Blitzcrank, who's melee. So it's going to be very, very important for Jerry to get good hooks. Aranea, do you think that's the look of stress or comfort?
I'm not quite sure. Head on table is usually generally not
positive.
A great sign. See, the PC seems to have been swapped out now, and we can thank our lucky stars that it's actually not Kirp's trackball, because it would take a lot longer to go back to the 1980s and pick up a trackball mouse for him.
I don't think the time travel has been invented just yet.
You never quite know.
But that was
our
particularly
guys are pretty on top of things at this stage.
That was particularly good. I think the early game's going to decide this matchup for me. I feel like whichever team's able to get a little bit ahead has all the tools that they need to stay ahead. And the last time I was actually casting Overpower's Mordekaiser, I completely underestimated the late game burst that he has.
Yeah.
He one-shotted Moops' Morgana, if memory serves correctly, burned through the Black Shield, got himself a clone. And if Overpower gets to that point, Aranea is squishy, Kirp on Ziggs is squishy, Lucian is squishy. So they're ripe for the pickings for that Mordekaiser burst.
Yeah, and you even look down the team and you're like, well, who does he get? If he gets Aatrox later on into the game, just hammering through the rest of the team. Lucian, obviously, that's a real given. Getting the AD carry as a clone on your team, you are basically just going to absolutely wipe the floor with the rest of the team afterwards.
Now, if memory serves, SK Gaming beat Rocket running Aatrox top lane, and Xaxus was playing Jax fairly recently.
Yes.
And Xaxus will be a little bit more familiar with that matchup. But on a champion like Dr. Mundo, who is very weak in lane, needs time to build up, needs to get his items. In addition to on patch 4.2, the Perseverance Mastery is going to reduce his healing, so he's a little less effective than he used to be. I think Kevin needs to get an advantage in this lane. He's got Flash and Ignite as his summoner spells, as opposed to Flash Teleport on Xaxus. And when you've got Aatrox that's got a lot of early damage, that's got a knock-up, that's got a slow, and you've got an aggressive summoner spell, he has to make it count. And
Kevin is, well, I've said it a couple of times, I feel like I'm almost on repeat with that one, but it can't be underestimated. He has been probably the most stable top lane. I'd put him up there right now with Freddy, most definitely, if I was to say who are the most stable and, you know, performing top laners for their teams. Freddy and Kevin in particular have been really standout. It's hard to really say with the top laners because their job is very specific, I'd say. You know, get tanky, get a bit of split push going on, don't die too often, stay alone on your island and be all fine in there. And then when it gets to the team fights, just dive in and try and eat everyone's faces off, which is something that Aatrox is going to excel at if Kevin gets going.
I'm particularly happy about the word usage. Their job is very specific, and I think that is a very important thing to note. Kevin, on the losing team, has the best stats of any of the top laners in the league. You know, we keep talking, we did it in the pregame, and I just want to remind everybody, he's got the most kills, the least deaths, and the second highest assists on a team that's at the bottom of the table. It's very, very impressive. I think up until now, most of the champions have played haven't necessarily been game-changing. I mean, I don't want to be overly pessimistic, but for the majority of the time, your top lane is not necessarily carrying the game. I think it's slightly more on the likes of your junglers, your mid laners, and your supports that can directly change the outcome. If you've got a strong front line, yes, of course that helps. But a strong front line means nothing if your back line doesn't have any damage to back it up. Now all of a sudden you've got a champion that is strong on the front line, has a built-in revive, can deal damage. So it's not like we're putting any pressure on Kevin or anything.
Yeah, hope he doesn't hear any of this, so he might put him down. I just saw Aranea then, he continues to keep his head on the desk, whether that's just a case of, and actually I was talking to both Creator and Aranea earlier, and they were saying that, you know, when it comes to Super Week, it's great for the fans to watch out there, but we in particular have a bit of a tough job because specifically for Millennium today, they've got 2 games in one day. That's I think as tough as it really gets throughout the season to have these 2 games coming up on one day and to really prepare how you're going to go from that one. I mean, if you look at the games, the teams that they've played as well, they've not exactly had it easy on that front either. SK Gaming and Rocket, who beat Gambit earlier on in the day. That's 2 very tough games for 2 teams that I'd go out on a limb and say have very different preparation schedules as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. We sit and we prepare for each of these shows as casters, and we go through picks and bans, and we talk strategy and players, and we can spend 40 minutes to an hour just on picks and bans, just theorizing possibilities and outcomes. And we have the luxury that our jobs aren't dependent on getting that right. You know, we theorize, but if you theorize incorrectly and you sit down and you go, well, who's going to think Mordekaiser is going to get picked again? Yes, it was picked. We have seen it. But realistically, at the LCS level multiple times, I wouldn't have predicted it. We say it for fun, but it's out, it's again, and now we have to see how Millennium deal with it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's become, I don't say a problem for ROC, because I think earlier in the season it was a little bit more different. If you look at the first games, the first 5 games really that ROC played, you saw Pantheon, twice Riven, and Mordekaiser in that mid lane for Overpower. That's a bunch of champions that's very, I don't want to use this word strange, but non-standard for that mid lane, for the champion pools that these mid laners tend to have. And that's something that makes it even harder to prepare for. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that we can almost guess wrong sometimes. That we think it's going to be this, all right, it's not going to be that, oh well. But if they guess that wrong and they get outpicked in this one, it's not just a case of, oh well, it's a case of we got another L next to our name.
And you can't afford it if you're Millennium. I mean, there's 2 L's in their actual team name, but it's not what they're looking for. I think today, Super Week, day 1, we've already had 4 games locked away. Millennium now only have 1 game a day going forward. So depending on the outcome of this match, it at least alleviates some of that pressure for the rest of the week, whereas every other team, with the exception of Rocket, is going to be playing 2 more games on at least 1 day. I think the psychological either strength or damage is definitely going to be something that you have to work with. Fnatic, for example, they lost the first game of the day. 3 more to play this week. 1 and 9 in their last 10 games. How do they come in tomorrow? Is it going to be the same negative, pessimistic Fnatic that we've seen, or are they happy with the performance? It's a difficult question.
Well, even from Millennium side of things, I look at their fixtures for this week, you know, for Super Week, 4 games, a lot of games to be played. SK ROC, 2 of the most informed teams coming into this one. They've got Alliance, who just won their last game. You've got Super Hot Crew, who not really sure what they're going to bring to the table. They're a team that have got in places and also not really showed up, as we saw in our last game there. So very hard games. The fact is, for this point of the season for Millennium, something has to start to work out for them, because you don't want to be down in that bottom spot when it comes towards the end of the season.
No, you definitely do not. And you said something has to change for the game, for their game play. Aranea, he said out last week, my days in the LCS may be numbered. He put this out on Twitter. We'll have to see how his performance is going to be in this game.
Well, we're going to find out, because we're back into game now. ROC versus Millennium. You saw Aranea on your screen there, doing his red buff for the very first time in this one. Jankos doing similar over on the top side of his jungle. Blue buff pick up for him, and they'll move over the other side of the map. This top lane then, Mundo versus Aatrox. A matchup which, just Aatrox in particular, becoming more and more of a regular fixture in this top lane. As we see there, we do have another pause. This time it seems to be Kerp under his desk. Oh no, it's Kerp's trackball apparently. Uh-oh. Have I cursed this one?
That's not good. This is your fault. Your fault indeed. We'll have to send somebody back to the 90. Has somebody got a DeLorean sitting that maybe could help out? We'll see if we can get this match resolved as quickly as possible. Dave there on it. I think we've talked about this match extensively, and I think for both of these teams it is very, very important. Rocket coming back from a small slump. Good guy on there, giving the pillow back. Rocket, you know, they've gone 1-3 leading into this week. Picked up a win today, so it's 2-3 now. But far from the very dominant, overpowered team that we've seen in the first 5 weeks of the spring split.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing, and I've seen a few interesting quotes online when you look through Reddit, through Twitter and what have you, and now is this the MYM, the Polish curse, almost have a great start to the season and drop off of it? I'm more convinced to say no, or more inclined to say no this time around. For a start, they've got a lot more wins on the table than we expect. MYM, when it came to the second half of the split last year, had a woeful time. But ROC have already shown today a massive win against Gambit. Now we're going to get back into the game against Millennium. Hopefully, we continue that way. Yeah,
and I said this earlier today, and I want to reiterate it as well. I feel like Rocket's negative streak over the last 5 games is a slump in performance. You know, they did take a small vacation. They weren't practicing or scrimming maybe quite as effectively as they could have been. And unfortunately, we do have another pause. And I think that with Rocket's win earlier today, there is a good chance that they can get themselves in the right mindset, get themselves back to the high level that we've actually come to expect from them.
So apparently, just to give you another update, Creaton's mouse now is apparently acting up somewhat, so I can assure you our admins are a lot better at fixing mice from this century than from the other ones. So we'll see. We'll hopefully get that one fixed shortly. But again, I just want to reiterate the fact that it is added pressure at this point of things when you're, your mouse just isn't working. Your keyboard seems to be having a couple of little issues for you, and that's something as a pro player that obviously is going to happen. It happens in every sport where your environment, so to speak, affects you a little bit. And these guys by now are so used to this one that it's probably not even playing on their mind. At least you'd hope so.
You would like to think so. And I think for probably a team like Rocket who have a win already, this will be a little bit more of just a let's get this going. However, on the side of Millennium, they're a bit more down in the dumps. I think some of the members of the team have been very outspoken. I think back to the beginning of the split where Creaton had some very strong words. AD carries can't carry. I don't feel like I have a positive impact. He's on Lucian, a champion they went unkilled with against super hot crew if memory serves. Got 14-odd kills a while back. He has the ability to impact, but isn't necessarily 100% confident, isn't believing in his role or his position or even maybe his individual play.
Well, the interesting thing, if you look at Lucian, is the wins that he has. It's not many of them, which may be why it makes it easier to track. The 3 wins, Lucian, 14-0-7, 6-1-6, and 10-0-4 on that one. So he's doing really, really well on Lucian. Guys, we're going to check in with Shox and Deficio, though, while we get things fixed on stage. They've got Youngbuck standing by for a chat.
We absolutely do. Thank you very much, Joe. Welcome, Youngbuck. It's been a little time now between that first game of the day, Copenhagen Wolves versus Fnatic. What a game that was. So maybe tell me a little bit from your perspective how it went, maybe starting off in that top lane, you as Renekton versus Soaz as Dr. Mundo.
Yeah, it's a matchup that I haven't played recently because Mundo has been a little bit out of flavor. But I still remember most of the things, and the Doran's Blade Start helped me to get a very good early lead and helped me to keep control of their top jungle.
So I'd actually like to know, why is Mundo not being played that much, like we saw in the early start of the season where everyone just played Dr. Mundo?
Well, first the only counter to it was Trundle, but then people started building Tiamat on Renekton and started to actually beat Mundos in the mid game, and that's when people started to prefer Renekton over Mundo.
Yeah, we have seen a trend in a couple of LCS teams lately to go for those AP top laners. I distinctly remember the Lulu, of course. We also had that LeBlanc in there. I don't think that you're the kind of person that usually goes to that or would go to that. Can you maybe elaborate why that isn't or why you take certain picks?
Vladimir is my favorite champion.
That's true. That's a good point. Very good point. But I meant them with bursty champions when Vladimir can go a little more tanky.
Our team comps usually work best when we have a split pushing top laner with teleport, and I'll just continue picking what works best for our team. So if it's not Vladimir, then too bad. I love to play him, but if Renekton and Trundle bring the best results, I'll just keep playing them.
Okay.
Talking about team comps, Copenhagen Wolves-wise, you seem to me to have a lot of focus on obviously Amazing, getting the right jungler for him because you can do so much work on it. Kautok prefers the more farm-heavy champions. You're obviously on the Bruisers or the Vladimir. Take me through like a standard, favorite picks for you guys. Is there anything you really favor, or is it generally just you like these simple champions for everyone?
Well, the Lee Sin for Amazing is of course one of our highest priorities, and Lulu for the mid lane is also extremely high priority for us. Other than that, yeah, we do look for farming mid lanes because we usually blind pick the mid lane so we can keep a counter pick for bot lane or top lane.
So you were mentioning Amazing, and you guys are obviously on a 5-game winning streak. He's been MVP 2 times in a row, and it was Kautar that mentioned the only pitfall that we can have now is to become overconfident. Do you agree, and how will you try and keep your team from being down to earth?
Well, we faced a similar thing in the first week, the Super Week, where we lost games due to pure overconfidence. And at that point we said, okay, we're always going to stay sharp, always focused, always respect our opponents. And now it's time to see if we can actually keep up to that.
Do you actually think you guys can keep it going? Do you see yourself going for something like a top 2 position, maybe even #1? So far, you've won 5 games in a row. You beat every single team you played in the last 5 games, and it's going really well. How far can you guys actually take it?
Well, hopefully we can win 3 more games. We have a very high morale right now, and everyone is happy and feeling good. So hopefully we can use this to win all the other matches this week.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the matches coming up, starting maybe with the Alliance game that you got coming up. Going up against Wicked, obviously, although you don't know if you'll be straight up against him. How are you going into that game?
Well, the last game, they looked very strong and very methodical, and I think that Wicked had an extremely good performance. Just beating a Renekton early on with Trundle is almost impossible, but he found a way, so I'll definitely need to be careful for that.
And how do you guys actually prepare for matches? Like, what kind of people do you have around the team helping you? Or is it just you 5 guys sitting, talking, preparing picks and bans? So how do you actually prepare for all these games?
We have a fantastic coach who analyzes the opponents every game, and he rewatches games and has a list of all the picks and bans in the order that they are picked and banned. So he helps us a lot when it comes to champion select, and then from that we just look what we want and if we see any weakness in the opponent.
All right, well, thank you very much. Good luck in the rest of Super Week for you guys. I'll never forget Vladimir is your favorite champion anymore. And now we're going to head back over to the casters to get back into the game.
Thank you very much, guys. It seems like Creaton is on his way to getting everything fixed, or is possibly already fixed, and we're going to be getting back into things in just a second.
We'll see.
We'll see. Fingers crossed and all that kind of stuff. But always nice to hear from Youngbuck there on his opinion in that top lane.
Yeah, it's very nice to actually get some time to talk to the players about some of the other champion picks. I think Mundo, saying it's fallen a little bit out of favor. We're seeing it a couple of times, and Overpower eats a rubber ducky.
He does, and he actually takes a turret hit for the fun of it there as well as he got knocked into range. Nice little move by Kurt. The reactions of a man with a trackball. I still cannot believe that happened.
Look at the damage.
Yeah, this is a lot of damage right underneath the turret. His barrier's going to get popped there. And actually a lot of damage coming down on towards Jerry. That passive forced it to come out. And that is the danger of the Blitzcrank.
Yeah, and the range coming up from Selva and Vander. They just poked him down. No, Overpower's in trouble. Here comes Aranea.
Oh, nice flash though. We saw the dash to the ward from Aranea and flash straight over the top of the queue from Overpower. Could have tried to dodge the backside of it, but honestly, if that ever happened, he may just have been dead if that would have landed onto him. So, good decision, I think, in the end, but also leaves a nice, juicy opportunity for first blood again for Millennium in the mid lane.
Better safe than sorry, and after that extended pause, we see a lot of aggressive plays coming out from these teams. I think with Kurt being on Ziggs and having the immense advantage in the mid lane in these early levels. He's got, a lot of range to work with. He's got the additional damage from his short fuse passive is just going to be poking Overpower down, and all of the bouncing bombs means Overpower's going to need some time to get back in this lane. You have to give Overpower props for being even on CS against Kerp on Ziggs, who actually has a lot more tools to work with in that mid lane to keep him zoned, keep him controlled, and keep him down.
So a ward being put down, pings coming in from ROC. They actually saw that one place there, so Jankos knows that there's no free path in to that top lane to have a go at Kevin. We see there in the bottom lane the exchange once again, but I feel for Jerry in this scenario. If you're on form with someone like Blitzcrank, it can feel like the best day for you, but if you miss a couple in a row, you suddenly go into a position where you're not feeling so confident about landing the hooks.
Yeah, that rock grab was just a little bit out of distance. You seen Aranea was waiting in the tri-bush, so if it had connected, it would have had some damage to work with. Now, thanks to a good little ward in the river, Overpower's going to be aware of Aranea's position, so he's going to back away and try play this one a little bit more passive, a little more defensively. We see Selva and Vander very, very aggressive in this bottom lane. They're shoving in the wave, trying to keep Creaton and Jerry against their tower. They've got some good vision in the river to play with. And it's already showing there's about a 10 CS difference between these two.
And I was actually talking to Creaton and Aranea earlier on outside, and just a little bit about the bottom lane matchup, really, and about Forgiven and Unlimited and the Copenhagen Wolves. And what he said was, it's the most horrible feeling in the world to be pushed against your tower and falling behind as a bottom lane, where you realize that if you don't get kills, you're going to actually lose the game. And right now, ROC are going in to go for that first blood. There's a lot of damage onto Jerry. Vander gets some back. Jerry's not dead here. Finally shut down by Selva. He nets off into the brush. Creaton's going to chase in here. Vander's surely going to be forced to flash away. He will be, but Selva, he's going north. He actually was spotted there. Now Aranea's coming in from the side. Selva's not going to escape this one, but they did get first blood.
So 1-for-1 at the end of the day. Selva was forced to flash and barrier to make that work for his favor. He gets the kill, whereas the kill credit for Millennium goes to Aranea. We'll see if Ara can actually make some more ganks work for him and use that goal to his advantage, but a very aggressive Rocket. The Jankos and Elise, he flashed Cocoon. That was a point-blank Cocoon. He didn't want minions to get in the way. He wanted a no-risk, guaranteed lockdown.
And almost went a bit pear-shaped for him having to repel out of that one. They obviously lost their AD carry as well, with Annie having to flash away, but a first blood is a first blood, and that has given a BF sword over to Selva as he comes back into that lane, still with a CS advantage. This is where I'm really interested to see, now that lane's reset itself in the center, who gets the upper hand now that they're back in duo versus duo.
Well, Salivar with the BF sword. The simple fact of the matter is that Creatin's not going to be able to outtrade him. And as long as Salivar uses the range to his advantage, gets some auto attacks down once he clears this wave out, I think Creatin and Jerry are going to have a fairly difficult time in this lane. Salivar got the kill at precisely the right moment. He had just enough money to get himself a nice big advantage in terms of auto attack damage. We'll see how they play it out. As you mentioned, we do see Vanda and Salivar about to hit level, getting closer to level 6. They've just hit level 5 actually. And once they get to that burst potential, they can kill Jerry and Creatin.
Yeah, going to be there before Jerry and Creatin at this rate as well. Both of them, as you said, at level 5. No flash, though, for Vanda, which makes it a little bit less dangerous when they see that they've hit level 6. They can keep that distance on them, knowing that any flash Tibbers is not going to come their way. There we see Blue Buff actually going over on towards Jankos, simply for the fact that Overpower doesn't need it really in that mid lane.
So the one thing that I think Millennium need to try to avoid as this game is going to start to progress is maybe trying to avoid being caught in the open. I think that Millennium will do fairly well defending their towers. They can grab members of Rocket thanks to having Lee Sin that can jump in. You get a minefield, in and amongst someone from Rocket and then land a rocket grab. We do see right now, thanks to Millennium backing away, this tower is going to fall down before the 8-minute mark, before that damage reduction can even come into effect. And actually, now that I think about it, the damage reduction is only on the mid and top towers. It's not on the bottom lane. So BF sword plus range versus a melee support just means Rocket get a very, very early gold lead. And they're going to allow Rocket to continue pressuring down Creatin and J-Reed.
Blue Buffs here going to be going over on Millennium's side of the map to Kerp in the mid lane. Of course, Jankos took his for himself a little bit earlier on, and we'll see how Kerp can make that work in the mid lane up against Overpower on Mordekaiser. Aranea actually just hanging around there by the river. I think he thought that someone was going to try and come in and maybe have a bit of a snatch at the blue buff that was already taken, of course, but that wasn't even the case because Jankos had already backed away, going home to shop to pick himself up that Spirit Stone. This top lane we talked quite a lot about in the pregame and how Kevin's statistics are up there as the best right now on a lot of fronts. Currently he does have a healthy CS lead over Mondo.
Yeah, the question is, how does he make it work? He's got himself that Vamp Scepter versus the Giant's Belt of Xaxus, so Kevin's going to need to get a little bit more attack damage. We've seen Freddy, if memory serves, going for Blade of the Ruined King, as opposed to the likes of a Ravenous Hydra or the Tiamat, for example, which isn't a possibility. And starting with Vamp Scepter, I think Kevin's going to go for that Blade of the Ruined King. It'll do a lot of damage against Xaxus on Dr. Mundo. Now that Millennium are missing the tower in the bottom lane, it's going to open them up. If Salivar and Vanda keep pushing that wave down, Jankos can come in from behind, can come from the Tribush. Overpower could do similar. He could roam. He's very good at shoving that lane. You see that Overpower's not missing too many CS in the lane against Kerp, and I think he's done very well to survive that laning phase where Kerp on Ziggs has a pretty clear advantage.
Not just surviving, doing really well with it there as well. As we see Cleaver, or the briefcase in this case, landing on towards Kevin. Kevin just using that Dark Flight to get back behind the barrier of minions and keep himself a little bit more healthy. Aranea actually come down to the Tribush. I'm not sure that he's in for much of a look-in here, to be honest. And, well, he's not going to recall. He was just testing out, I think, whether Roccat themselves were going to head back or push forward when they saw that recall was coming down. Jerry's currently spinning circles. We'll see if he does decide to pop that W and sprint in for a grab. There is a grab, and he's managed to pull Vanda in. Tibbers is available. They throw it down onto him. There is a Cocoon coming in on towards Aranea, and in the end, there's a lot used, but no kills.
No, counter gank was there for Jankos. If Jankos had not been in range, Millennium may have decided to continue the pressure down. The Tibbers was good. It stunned up at least 2 members. The hook, that was a little too far, and unfortunately did not connect for Millennium. Now, Millennium are looking like they want to challenge. Rocket Grab has a fairly high cooldown, so Jerry's not going to have it immediately, and this Dragon's going quick.
It is going very quick, but Aranea looking to get around the side. There is the Super Mega, no, the bomb, whatever, is coming down. Cully comes in from Creatin as well. They actually held so long off finishing that Dragon because of the presence of Millennium. So well played by Rocket.
Yeah, Millennium never really committed for that one. The Dragon was started, there was multiple members of Rocket in the pits, and Millennium just didn't have the tools. If you look at their comp, Blitzcrank, if he doesn't grab somebody and pull him towards you, he doesn't offer a huge amount in that pit. He's got an AoE silent, sure, but then that's it. Lee Sin and Lucian, they didn't have the tools available, and unfortunately, Millennium were unable to get their hands on it. Now the rest of Rocket, a little bit of damage on this mid turret. Cocoon goes wide, and as it stands, Rocket with a healthy 1,500 gold. They got the first tower and the first dragon of the game.
This is important now, though. We see that Kerp is actually recalling at this stage. RNA is on the top side. Kerp has gone, and that actually leaves 3 men in the mid lane for Rocket to have a go onto this middle outer turret. Jankos is taking the race on the top side. Meanwhile, the turret is going to start taking a bit of damage. Jerry and Aranea have come around to try and save that one. Kevin has even dropped down from the top lane as a Cocoon lands onto him. He will dark fly over the wall, and I think that leaves him off to safety. Of course, does have his Bloodwell passive in case things really go badly for him. In the end, not too much damage onto the turret. Rocket back out.
Very good play from Rocket to at least apply pressure to that lane. It forced Kevin to actually come down from the top lane, which meant he wasn't applying pressure or damage on Xaxus' tower. If a fight had broken out, teleport was available for Xaxus on that Dr. Mundo, and we did see some very good positional play there from Rocket. They didn't get enough time on the tower, and it didn't work out for them. And interestingly, Kevin's actually gone the route of a Ravenous Hydra. He's picked up a Tiamat first after that Blade of the Ruined King. So what we may be seeing from Millennium is a split push Aatrox. He's got a lot of wave clear. He's maxed his Blades of Torment, the E, so it's going to have a lot of wave clearing potential. And of course, the sustain and the Dark Flight allows Kevin to get out of sticky situations if he gets caught in it.
And speaking of different paths, looking at the supports, which is now in slightly nullified because the Sightstone did come in for Vander, but we saw him going with that coin first of all, getting things rolling there, but I think more importantly, working his way quickly up towards that Talisman of Ascension. The fact that they have a team that needs to be able to chase in all the time.
Yeah, and that's the power of the Rocket composition. If they get the Talisman of Ascension, they throw down the Dr. Mundo ultimate, and you have Mordekaiser and Elise running you down, in addition to maybe a Flash Tibbers or the stun from Vander. That is how Rocket will be looking to engage their fights. On the other side, Millennium have tools to deal with that. Blades of Torment from Aatrox can slow, Aranea can kick them backwards, and they're hoping Kerp lands some good disengage from the Satchel Charge and the Minefield. So it's going to be very important to see how they play the positioning game. And just like we talked about in the pre-game, we've seen with Overpower playing Ziggs last time these teams met, Overpower went for that Spirit of the Spectral Wraith. Kerp has done the same job this time round, and we will keep tabs on how much extra gold he's got. He only picked it up recently, 80 gold right now.
Let's have a look down CS here because they're so incredibly close, especially between the mid laners and the AD carries. 107 to 105 from the bot lane, 131 to 131. Bang level in the mid lane. We just saw an ace in the hole being used there by Creaton, actually just in the point where Jankos was coming around the side. Araneo was already waiting up on that brush, so nothing really to talk about there. One thing that there is to talk about there, the lead that Rocket have right now, 1,500 gold in their favor. We can see that they've already got some deep wards in on this bottom lane. With that mid turret you'd expect is going to be the next target. I don't see Xaxus being able to bully Kevin out of this top lane for now, so we'll see how that one all goes.
I anticipate Rocket will try push down that mid lane turret as we get closer to the next dragon. You know, Rocket as a team really like to pick fights around Dragon. They like to apply a focus on that objective. They've got the first one of the game, and I think by the time the next one starts being about ready, you see the countdown timer is just loaded on your screen, 2 minutes to go. Rocket will most likely try to get the tower and then go for Dragon. Alternatively, if Millennium get a position for the Dragon and Rocket feel the tower is available, you could see a trade, which is something we actually see fairly often at this level of play.
Right, so between the AD carries as well, pretty much even. Bloodthirster for both. The Berserker Grief's already done on the left-hand side of your screen for Celiver. He's slightly ahead on that one, although I'm imagining that Creaton by now will have enough gold to head up towards those. If we look down the mid laners as well, the Hextech Gunblade here is done for Overpower. Puts him at a, for this stage of the game, 16 minutes in, a scary prospect to be fighting up against.
Yeah, when you consider there's no MR on anybody on the opposing team. When you see Celiver's caught.
Oh, it's a little bit awkward there for Celiver. Aranea came straight over the wall, pretty much face checked straight into him. That's got the AD carry low. Still a minute though, so actually Celiver could go home and walk back in towards the Dragon area for this next fight. They're actually putting Pinks in there to get control of that tri-bush as well as the bottom side of the map here with that dragon so close to spawning in. Going to be interesting to see how this one all develops there. Vander going home for now. RNA are going to do the same. Kevin's actually just leveled up the tower score by taking out the outer turret in that top lane, and that's again perfect timing for him to say I can walk down. Zaz's looking like he can stay. He's got teleport. He can push that lane out whilst Kevin will have to walk down to get involved.
And that's probably why Kevin is trying to shove this lane down right now. We'll see if Millennium really want to go for the dragon the moment it spawns. Nobody from Roccat is poising themselves for a dragon play right now, except Janko's getting a little bit close. The rest of Millennium, however, they do seem to be grouping. Jerry and Kerb moving towards that area. Rocket Grab, that was a little late. I think Jerry needed to fire that a tiny bit sooner if he wanted to try and make something happen. Now we see it's very clear. Millennium want this dragon. Rocket are going to have to challenge.
Well, they're walking through a Hextech minefield, which is exactly what it says on the tin. A minefield as we get hits on towards Jankos there. Lots of health taken away. Zazas actually TPing down from this one. Good Cocoon comes on towards Creighton. There is Tibbers. Jerry going low. Overpower is blowing them to pieces in the middle there. Can they get any more? Kevin's right in the middle. He will dive over the back to pick up the kill on towards Jankos. His Bloodwell's pop. Zazas is low. Zeliver's going to be low here. Millennium are going to pick up more kills. Overpower's going to fall in the end to Q from Aranea. And that is the first ace of the game. 5 for 2 in the end. It looked like it started horribly for Millennium, but they had so much more damage.
Millennium, that's exactly it. They had a clustered group of their teammates, all focusing down multiple targets of Roccat. Not only did Overpower use his ultimate on the support, but you just see the rest of Millennium. They really focused down together. That's 4 members of Millennium grouped up nice and tight. Kevin is about to join. Tibbers does catch Creatin, which is very, very important. It stuns him up. But it took a while for anybody to try to focus him. Now, the rest of Rocket are backing away, and a Blitzcrank Ghost is not a threatening ghost at all. No. Kevin eventually gets to the fight, and you just see Creatin and Kerb in the back line. They were not focused at all. They weren't afraid of Salivar's damage. Kerb finishing him off. Aranea gets the last hit with that Sonic Wave. It was a very good fight because of how tight the Millennium team was. They could focus Roccat down, and Roccat just didn't burst out the right champions.
Scary times in the game, to be honest, for Roccat, seeing that happening for them. Millennium take a nice, healthy gold lead. We're 18:45 into this one. One thing that always I worry about for Millennium is when they get ahead, how do they get that lead really pushing forward and snowballing to a fact where they're really feeling ahead? Because I feel like Millennium, when they're ahead, they feel like they're less ahead than some of the other teams who will take a small lead and turn it into a win.
Now, luckily for Millennium, they've tried a different recipe for this game. They've got the Blitzcrank as their we're ahead, let's try grab somebody now. And I'd like to see them actually try make that work. Put themselves in positions where they're challenging for blues, pushing for towers or something, and then letting J-Ree find a hook. Even if J-Ree doesn't necessarily land a hook to kill somebody, the threat or the pressure of him chasing them down can force Roccat to, take unnecessary damage, allow Kerb to zone them out. A couple good bouncing bombs, that can lead to a tower.
This top lane, basically Zazas and Kevin continuing that tug of war of the minions, pushing them back and forth, and really just kind of going in, coming back out once again as they get pushed away. Overpower in the meantime did start to wander up through his own jungle, but he's quite happy to keep his farm going. 189 to the 204 of Kerb right now, who we saw in that last fight, landed some great bouncing bombs, great satchel charge as well to pin Caitlyn against the wall. He's got himself that Athene's Unholy Grail and a blasting one now added in from earlier. Just want to touch on the top lane for Aatrox with the Ravenous Hydra. Yeah, actually Overpower's going to take a lot of damage from this one. Knockup comes down. He's not going to be able to survive it. It's RNA that picks up that kill. Looked too easy, to be honest.
It really was. I think Millennium just caught Overpower out of position. If you look at the vision for Roccat, it was all at the top half of the jungle and not close enough to him. So Overpower just a tiny bit too deep in his own side of the map. And Millennium, they did a good job there, grabbing themselves a fairly easy kill. The thing is, it hasn't equated to anything more. Millennium got a kill on Overpower. They weren't grouped up enough to try and push down a tower. And you see Creatin and J-Ree now still trying to get some damage on the last outer turret remaining for Roccat.
And Jankos is going to come through. He's going to have to be fast. I mean, he can repel out of the rocket grab. Rocket Roccat. I was going to catch me out a couple of times from this one. See if he catches Roccat out at the same time. But he can repel away from that one constantly if he's fast enough on the buttons, which, to be honest, we've seen that Jankos definitely is.
Oh yes, he has the outplay potential, but even in a situation like that, you know, he's one of the champions where you can actually allow yourself to get caught, land a cocoon, and then repel away. You know, there's those tools available for ROC to play with, and it's part of the reason I quite like the Mundo and the Mordekaiser lock-ins, which came as their last picks. It's champions that you want to be in the fray, you want to be surrounded. Mundo, in particular, with his burnout and his immense HP, and then with Overpower, if he gets his creeping death and gets some good Mace of Spades down in the team, his shield is going to be stacked up, and he's going to be able to, you know, do a pretty good job at creating chaos in those situations. Vander's about to find Aranea.
Well, no, he's about to find what looks like his death, to be honest with you. 3 of them coming in. He's going to throw Tibbers down. Can he escape it, though? His flash is not coming off cooldown just yet. There is the damage coming in. Aranea finishes off. Rocket Grab doesn't land, but it's a kill where Vander was just out of position, frankly.
Yeah, Millennium at the right place at the right time. They had all of their members grouping to apply. Wards get some vision in that Dragon Pit. You see it was about 1.5 minutes away from spawning when that started. Vander, he just didn't have the tools to play with. He didn't have the wards. Now, after that kill, Millennium have grouped up in the mid lane. They are the ones going for the 1-3-1 push. Kevin pushing top, Creatine pushing bottom. The rest of Millennium, they were in mid, but now they're backing away. They've pulled some Rocket members towards them and going to spend some of the money they've earned.
Down in the bottom lane, this is an interesting one. We see that Creatine has crept up ahead in CS, but not got a kill to his name as of yet. 7 assists. I'm sure he would have liked if 2 or 3 or maybe 4 or 5 of those, or 6 or 7, were actually in his kill column by now. Got himself that Bloodthirster, working himself up onto the Trinity Force as well. Selva gone with a Bloodthirster and a Zeal up until now. Yeah, that'd be an interesting 1v1 for now.
Creatine has enough money to finish off that Trinity Force. I think he's sitting at about 2,200 odd gold. He's got the makings of that Triforce already, and thanks to the fully stacked Bloodthirster and Sheen, he's actually trading very, very efficiently with Celebar. We do see he's not backed off just yet, gonna go for another Dragon. I don't think anyone from Rocket can challenge this one, and this is an uncontested Dragon. Very, very smart play from Millennium. They got vision earlier, they were able to bully Rocket away, and they just started that the instant it came up.
This is the retort, though, from Rocket going in for that top lane. And, well, for now, not much of one. Not a finisher, at least, but another wave of minions is coming around. And in the end, Xaxus actually leaves that one. Wasn't quite sure if the minions were enough to top that one off and actually take it. What they are going to be able to take, though, is the blue buff. Aranea says, thank you very much, Jerry. That's very nice of you. Blue buff is going to be taken away by Aranea. And that hit squad just backs away onto their own side of the map, with actually 4 people from Rocket starting to close into them, and Jerry will be saying, told you that was smart.
Now, I'd like to see them continue doing that. If you look at all of the champions on Millennium's side, they've all hit very good power spikes. Kevin has had that Ravenous Hydra for a while. He's got a Spirit Visage in his kit. The Death Cap has now been completed for Kerp. He's currently sitting on a bonus of 500 gold on that Spirit of the Spectral Wraith, so starting to pay some dividends. And with Creatine getting his Trinity Force, they're all now in these plateau moments where they've hit a spike and they need to take advantage of it. Millennium have already won a couple of team fights and found picks. Now let's see them siege and use J-Ree's Rocket Grab to its fullest potential.
I wish we could see the accuracy of those grabs from J-Ree, actually, and see what he's been pulling in and what he's been throwing wide of the target. The longer this game goes on, of course, the more they're going to become of importance for them, especially when it comes to those siege times and when they're being chased, because the last thing you want to do, I mean, it's all well and good landing the grabs, but you don't particularly want to pull Mordekaiser or Mundo into the rest of your team. He tries one there on towards Jankos, doesn't quite land.
Now, the previous team fight, we actually seen Kerp and Creatine relatively unchallenged, and J-Ree's hook was enough to burn a flash from Rocket. Now, in this situation, allowing Kerp to poke down with those bouncing bombs and try get some damage on Rocket, and ideally having J-Ree looking for either Selva or Vander or Jankos to try and burst them down is a perfect position. Rocket have split themselves up. Look, they don't want to be behind the tower. The risk is too great either for poke or for the hook.
They're going to go for you from this one. We see the Aranea throwing those Qs out, Kerp trying to keep the men behind the turret zone as much as they can. There is the kick, actually knocking Bender back away. Creatine's gone low, Kerp is very low. There is a shutdown. Mordekaiser a beast in the middle. They do manage to take the Kevin low, and it's Creatine that they've got the ghost from. That's a scary ghost to be chasing you. It's all about the briefcases now. Does he manage to slow down Kevin? Aranea will dash off to him though, and that will lead them into safety. That was a 2-for-1 in the end.
Very good engage from Rocket. Vander came in with that flash, Tibbers coming down, and very importantly, Overpower got Children of the Grave on the right target. He didn't put it on J-Ree this time. He also had a Deathfire Grasp as well as that Hextech Gunblade active to burst Creatine down. Watch Creatine's HP as Overpower just runs straight for him, immediately focusing him down. We do see Overpower going a little bit further forward. I think there's just one more spell cast that was required. In the background, you do see Kevin doing the best he can to get a kill, but unfortunately for him, he wasn't powerful enough to keep the rest of Roccat at bay. His knockup was okay, but unfortunately, 1 for 2, Creatine needs to be kept alive in those situations.
Well, Overpower extending his score to 4-2-0 after that, and looking like he's headed up towards that Sonya's now, picking up a bit of armor. Knows that he's going to be needing that. We saw actually how the ultimate of Creatine just destroyed him on that front side. If he would have actually been behind someone at that point, that fight would have probably gone a little bit further for Roccat. It even leaves us now though at 9-5, 4,000 gold is the advantage for Millennium, and I can never count a Roccat team out. I mean, if we look at that game against Gambit earlier on, longest game that we've seen so far, they were ahead for most of it, then all of a sudden they were 4,000 gold behind after losing a Baron, or even 2 Barons in a row, I think it was, from that one. In the end though, they ended up picking that one out, and they're a team that has a lot of spirit for a team that's, now, I want to say less experienced somehow than a team like Millennium, which is certainly true to some extent. They've been on the top level for a little bit less time. They've got a lot of character, and you can never count them out.
No, you definitely can't. And I think part of the reason, oh, Jankos almost got caught up there. I think part of the reason that team fight went badly for Millennium is they didn't have the vision they needed to work with. They were working under the assumption that Roccat were scared of their poke and scared of their hooks, and basically counted out the ability of a flash Tibbers or a flash engage from Roccat. So what Millennium need to do is get better vision in the jungle, better vision around the turret they want to siege, and then they can sit quite safely.
We've also seen the Talisman of Ascension being picked up here, which is a great bit of kit for them moving forward. So, what else have we got being picked up on the other side? Turret, first of all, for Millennium on the bottom side of the map, the third and final outer turret of the game from them. It leaves them 5,000 gold behind, but that allows them to get that vision that you were talking about a little bit deeper into the Roccat jungle and see if they can get Jerry landing some hooks onto the right people.
Very importantly, Creatine has grabbed himself a Quicksilver Sash. So if Overpower jumps onto him with that Children of the Grave, Creatine's going to be able to get rid of it. Let's look for the rocket grab.
Oh, Celiva, a little bit of a dangerous position, but actually they're not going to chase too far. Aranea was the one going in, the net actually landing on towards Jerry to slow him right down, stop the overall chase from that one. If his Talisman would have been finished, that could have been a different story. Top lane, though, we do see the third and final outer turret for Roccat now going down, which means the outer ring on both sides of the map is gone, and Roccat are making a play for the inner.
Yeah, Roccat are forcing Millennium to choose. What do they want to do? Roccat are going to go for the top inner turret while Millennium get the dragon. I actually think Roccat are going to be happy with this trade because the map presence is theirs. They are going to get this tower down. Kevin can't do anything to stop it.
No, can't really do much about that one. They would have tanked it up even if the minions had have gone down. Good play from Roccat. Although Millennium, as you mentioned, did pick up the dragon in that one. They're going to lose a red buff for the same token as this Roccat moving down towards that middle area, and Millennium actually making a play on the opposite side of the map now for that bottom inner tower.
The thing is, I think Roccat are aware of this. They set their sights on Creatine and J-Ree, and if they get the kills, they're going on the turret as well.
Oh, J-Ree could be in trouble from this one. Actually, he's going to speed by, but Overpower's already in there. There is the ace in the hole coming through. And they do get the ghost. As you said, it's not a scary one, it's more of a friendly ghost at this point. The fact is, though, it's going to be tanking up that inner tower in the middle lane. And whilst Millennium have got the inner tower on the bottom lane, Roccat keep powering on.
Yeah, right now, Roccat, they don't want to be in a situation where they can get hooked and die or take too much poke from Kerp's Ziggs. Ziggs also just completed a Void Staff on this last back, so his damage is going to be amplified. I like what Rockat's doing is because they're down in gold. They've lost a couple of fights back-to-back, and they know that they've given up a few dragons. So to counteract that and bring themselves back into the game, they grab 2 towers uncontested, and they basically say, we know what Millennium's going to do, we'll play around that and gain advantages in our own map.
2 inner turrets, so that's 1 inner and a dragon, and both buffs from Millennium stolen away there, by the way, both of which did go over onto Celiva. Now, do we start that phase of the game, which we've seen so many teams struggling with, and losing games in part due to the dance around Baron. We're going to see Millennium setting up, and I tell you what, it's not much of a dance, is it? It's more of it's one of those awkward first dances where you just get into the action. Straight on towards the Baron there. They pull away, they've gone on towards Zazas. He's not escaping that one. Cocoon has landed on towards Kevin, but I'm not sure what ROCCAT can do now.
Now, with that hook landing, J-Ree's going to try set up another one. They're forcing ROCCAT's hand. ROCCAT are moving in. It's a good, sort of scouting ace in the hole, but look at Kurt. He's hopped over the wall. Rest of Millennium, they're not 100% convinced in this one. There is split minds.
And there are wards down, even more importantly for ROCCAT. They can see, for Millennium, they could see where ROCCAT will go. And this, though, is interesting because if ROCCAT see that Millennium have backed away, they might just have a go for it. Overpower had pushed up that middle lane completely. J-Ree did stick around there just to make sure that they did have some pressure or presence over the backside of the Baron pit. In the end, ROCCAT moving in there. They lost Zazas for it, but they stopped Baron happening.
So Millennium not underestimating the power of a Tibbers in that confined space. If Millennium was sitting trying to focus Baron down in the confine, in the entrance to the Baron pit, a Tibbers could stun multiple members of the team. And combine that with the burst that Overpower's putting out, he's got the Deathfire Grasp, he's got a Zhonya's Hourglass, and the Gunblade. There is the possibility to delete somebody on Millennium's team. So they back away, play this one safe. Now, because of the sweeping lenses and the pink wards that they've got in and around the area, Millennium's going to try again. Look for the hook. Jankos, his Banshee's Veil's been popped. Can Jerry catch him? Yes!
Well, it was hard to miss there, but the repel comes in. Ace in the hole came around the back. Jankos flashes away. Rest of ROCCAT starting to move in. Zazas has popped his ultimate. Well, there was the counter talisman used by Millennium to rush off to the top side of Baron. In the meantime, ROCCAT, they look like they were going to make a play on towards the mid lane, or are they just touting for pressure? No, they are going to go mid lane.
So we'll see how ROCCAT play this one. They really don't want to be sitting in a siege or a counter-siege situation. That is where Millennium's team comp is going to shine wonders. But if Millennium can keep forcing ROCCAT to check, forcing ROCCAT to move into the pit, they can wait for a good hook from J-Ree. I almost feel like Millennium didn't respond quickly enough to that Jankos hook. Yes, he did repel up, but there was that brief moment or two where maybe the silence from J-Ree could have held him in place a little longer. You have to theorize, what if they'd killed him?
What if, but sadly enough, those what ifs don't win you games, because otherwise my record would be a lot better than it is at this stage of things. But J-Ree once again clearing out on the backside of Baron Pit. They've got a couple of wards already inside the pit itself, as do ROCCAT, who are once again going to start moving in position. Sweeper lenses just coming out there and put into use. RNA will just finish that one off, and a double ward, better safe than sorry from ROCCAT's side of things, as Vander does finally get himself home to finish off something there with that Giant's Belt. Actually, we did see earlier on the Riley's Crystal Scepter coming out from the support players.
Yeah, and I think that's going to most likely be the exact same item. The slow that it gives you on Tibbers AoE on his sort of built-in Sunfire Cape is very, very effective. And in terms of items, I've just taken a quick look at Kerb's Spectral Wraith. It's already gone at 900 gold. To put it in perspective, RNA has only got plus 500 and Jankos plus 700. So we'll see how this works out for them. Millennium are on the Baron, they've got it low. Jankos is going to challenge, he does have Smite.
Well, this could be very, very dangerous. They've come off the Baron. RNA has taken a blast of damage. There's a big silence from J-Ree, but I'm not sure it's enough. J-Ree's going to go down here. They get his ghost once again. That is going to be a 6-man ROCCAT team now. The Baron, though, is taken by Millennium. They throw all their damage in there at it. They say you can take a Blitzcrank, but we're going to take Baron.
One for Baron is definitely worth it for Millennium. Now that Baron's on multiple of their members, Millennium need to get control of the game back. They've been trying to pull ROCCAT towards them so many times over the last 7, 8, 9 minutes, and finally it's paid off, but that was very close. Millennium lost the engage. They didn't manage to get a kill on Jankos. Take a look at the play. What we're really looking for is how quickly ROCCAT surround Millennium. Millennium are spread out. Jerry, RNA, Kevin, they're outside the pit. Kerp and Creatine are sitting on, inside because they've got dashes to hop over, and Mega Inferno Bomb is actually what secured.
They threw everything at it. The Culling went in there as well. Pretty incredible stuff. Nice pickup, and the ghost of J-Ree just sat all alone. Overpower didn't want anything more to do with it after that had all gone down. So, where does that leave us in the game? 10-7 in kills, 61,000 to 54,000 gold in favor of Millennium. The towers on the other side, though, ROCCAT have a 5-4 advantage on that front. And I wonder how ROC are going to play these next few minutes. You'd expect a little bit more on the back foot with that Baron buff with Millennium.
The thing is, ROC have actually tried to not fight Millennium straight up. ROC have tried to force Millennium to respond by pushing a tower, trying to pull him away from Dragon. You know, ROC have been sort of face-checking the Baron a little bit because they have to, not necessarily because they really want to force those fights. If Millennium can make ROC play their game, make ROC sit at a tower and take Ziggs poke as well as, you know, J-Re hooks, that's what they're looking for. You see Millennium, they're grouped up as a 5. They're trying to get down this mid lane. Vander does have Flash, does have Tibbers. This could be a repeat of the 1-for-2 that happened earlier.
Overpower on the top side. Are they going to go for he'll pincer movement? Vander at the back there. Flash, as we said, is available. Is he going to take the risk? They've pinged onto Vander's head so they know he is in position. And they are going to have complete awareness that that threat is there. They're very worried about moving forward.
There's not enough vision in the jungle, in my mind, for Millennium. They know where their opponents are, but they haven't necessarily got the strongest wards. Now ROC have been forced backwards. They don't want to engage on their team with Baron, so Millennium are able to zone ROC away. It's going to be a little easier for Millennium to do this one. If Overpower comes in from behind, he's looking straight for probably Creatine or Kirk.
Oh, Overpower is going to go straight on towards Kirk. He's going to get him as well. Absolutely destroyed. There is Kevin trying to jump in out towards the back. Sonya's popped by Overpower. We are going to see Celeber getting involved as well. Damage will be caught out though by Kevin. In the end, just a 1-for-0, but they'll take that any day of the week. That's their siege potential severely hurt.
Yeah, definitely. And because it was on to Kirk, it does mean he's the only real available target. The rest of ROC are still going to try challenge. Millennium are feeling very, very brave. This is a 4v5 situation, and ROC realize they can go in.
Vander at the front here as well. Is he going to keep going through for it? Still has Flash. Still has Tibbers as well to come down into that one, and Millennium just speeding off to safety. And well played there from ROC. That's going to pretty much time out the Baron at this stage of things, and weathering the storm that Millennium could have thrown their way.
Very successful defense there from ROC. They managed to defend all but one tower. They stopped the inhibitor push. They managed to mitigate the strength of that Millennium poke. You notice that as soon as ROC felt the engage possibility wasn't there, the Tibbers engage, for example, from the side, ROC backed away. They moved straight back to the inhibitor turret and said Overpower will come in from behind. Kerp used his satchel charge just to try and make some distance from the rest of ROC and just got insta-gibbed by Overpower's Mordekaiser.
Oh, the goal continues to flutter around, but keeping the advantage over for Millennium. A lot more items starting to come in. Void staffs for both mid laners in this one. We can see the top lane just continue to build up in terms of tankiness. Kevin in particular is pretty beastly. That Ravenous Hydra start has now turned him even, well, he's not only doing the damage, but he's got that Randuin's in there. He's got a Thornmail in there, an extra Negotron cloak on top of that Spirit Visage as well. Hard to kill him, especially when you factor in that almost inbuilt Guardian Angel.
Yeah, the Bloodwell's going to be very important. It's also going to allow Millennium to go for a tower dive if they want to. They're a team that's not afraid to force a fight if they feel they have an advantage. And if you look at the stats, it's a 7,000 gold lead. But getting past an inhibitor turret is the most difficult turret to break. There's that side vision we talked about. If Millennium can know where ROC are, it allows their bombs and their rocket grabs to become exponentially more effective. ROC can't flank without Millennium being aware, and Millennium, they're going to get to this turret with this next minion wave.
Celeber trying his best to get as close as he can without taking the poke, and they're going to successfully do that one. Cocoon lands on Kevin. Not really the person that they're looking for to maybe start things off on that front. And he's going to start to hit here. Kerp with the elixirs running. He's got the blue buff on. His cooldowns reduced significantly. He's got enough mana to spam all day long here. And that's something that might force ROC to retreat at some point in this.
What we need to watch in this team fight is, first of all, how effective Vander's engage is with the Flash Tibbers. And secondly, who does Overpower target? Kerp's got himself a Zhonya's Hourglass. The QSS is on the side of Creatine, so there are some tools to mitigate some of that damage, and I definitely want to see who he tries to burst down. It may end up being somebody like Aranea, but Ara also has that Banshee's Veil. Now Creatine's on the turret, finally got some auto attacks down, but Millennium Siege is not necessarily the strongest. That's about 3 waves worth of minions, and they've only got about a quarter of the HP down.
Their siege is not the strongest, but their top lane is pretty damn strong at this point. Loads of armor in there, tanking things up. There comes the ultimate out of Kerp, and they're going to try and really force the one. And there is the Vander Panda at the back, though. 3 of them getting stunned up, but they don't do anything about it. The hook missing. They've at least forced the turret here. RNA are going to tank that one up. Millennium take the first in-game turret of the game on their side. Are they going to keep going for this one, though? They've got 45 seconds to Baron.
The initiation power from ROC is severely reduced. As you see, the Vanderpand is not there. It's not a massive AoE stun, or at least it's going to be a lot less range. The rest of Millennium are trying to get this inhibitor. There's the stun!
They're going to go in for that one. It's RNA that goes low, but have they got the damage to finish off? Ace in the hole goes through. Shutdown comes in. RNA is in ghost form now, chasing through as well. The rest of Rocket coming up with the back. Kevin pretty much perma-slowed. That briefcase didn't quite land. They're going to kill off RNA here. All bittersweet, taking down one of your own teammates in the end. And even then he doesn't die. Goes back over.
That was a very good engage from Vander. Flashes in, throws down the W, holds 2 members of Millennium in place, and we said, who is Overpower going to target? And right now the focus was on Aranea. They get themselves a kill, they defend the inhibitor. The problem is, Rocket are having these small wins, these small victories, but they're still losing presence on the map. Millennium had siege for an incredibly long time. They got the tower down, and this has allowed them to get on Baron. They should be able to finish this before Rocket can get in play.
I believe that they will as well. It's gone very, very low, and there is a pickup for Millennium. Nice little bit of Baron work for them, and actually Zazas here, right at the front of them. We can see they're thinking about when do we flash, delaying it as long as possible. 2 of them flash away. We see Kevin jumps over the wall as well, and Rocket a little bit too late to come out from that one. They fall further behind.
So Millennium managed to get themselves yet another victory. They grabbed the Baron under their belt, and now I want to see if they're just going to siege up, say, the bottom lane, for example, and try get another turret, or maybe even the top inner turret, which is still standing, or if they want to make a beeline for that inhibitor. When Rocket were facing Millennium's Baron for the previous time they secured it, Rocket did not force a fight. They waited. They waited until it was a perfect moment to blow somebody up. And you have to feel that now with the lead being even greater and with the risk of losing a fight being greater, Rocket should most likely play this even more defensive.
I'm going to see Dragon going down, and that will be the 10,000 gold threshold here for Millennium. We have seen teams, I don't want to jinx them at this point, we have seen teams lose from having bigger leads in the past, so they still need to be careful about this one. But that slow but sure progression through the map like we saw down on that inhibitor turret in the mid lane will surely have to happen across the map as well. In fact, the only turret that's left standing outside of the base, also outstanding I suppose, is the top inner turret, which I guess is not going to last long as they dive towards RNA, and he just kicked him back.
RNA do not want. He was not interested in that one. He had no support of his teammates. Just gets rid of Sullivan and gets out cleanly. In the last moment or two, Kurt picked himself up a Guardian Angel, so he's even less of a priority or less of a possible target for Mordekaiser. In addition, Creatine grabbed himself that Infinity Edge, so his damage has just been amplified a massive amount. I think the weakness of that Mordekaiser in a game like this right now is the fact that whoever he wants to burst out, if it's going to be Kevin, you're going to pop his Bloodwell, or you have to get his Bloodwell before you focus him. Aranea is going to have his Banshees pop, but again, you have to commit a lot just to be able to deal damage to him, and it doesn't allow you to just 100 to 0 him with that Mordekaiser.
Oh, they're out of position here as well. Rocket Millennium moving straight down that middle lane. The inhibitor, of course, is completely open for the taking. Rocket are getting themselves off to the side, but just Ziggs alone offers so much zoning power in this scenario. We see that the traps came down from Caitlyn to stop them coming through, and for now, Rocket have repelled that attack.
Well, we'll see if Millennium decide to keep this up. They still have that Baron on for a minute or two longer, I believe. Banshees once again popped by Aranea. Rocket will split up. Vander's been the only form of initiation for the team, and he doesn't have Flash available for this fight, but he does have that Talisman of Ascension. Creatine keeps poking down the inhibitor. A couple more auto attacks. This is going to be the inhibitor. Yeah,
Kevin just going to sacrifice a bit of his health there. Not really a lot even to tank that one up, all the damage that was thrown his way by Rocket. They get the first inhib of the game, and it's clear where they're headed now, straight towards the bottom lane where minion waves are starting to stream in. Meanwhile, Kevin is going to push that mid lane out, try and give them 2 things to work against here for Rocket, but in the end, doesn't look like they're going to get it. It'll be a similar thing. Time, really more than just forcing your way in. Wait each time it comes down, but you can see the damage. Those turrets don't last long at all.
And this is the strength of Millennium's composition. We'll look for the rocket grab, see if it can catch anybody, and even if it doesn't, The threat is there. Rocket needs to stay so far back, they can't clear the wave. Overpower's wave clear is very, very short range. And yes, Celebar and Caitlyn probably has some pretty good clear, but that's it. They don't have Ziggs bombs. See Millennium just going in, poking it down, dashing away. Hook does not connect on Overpower.
Very, very close from that one, Overpower. Breathing a sigh of relief, no doubt, from that one, as we only need one more hit, I think, from Creatine. There it is. So it is going to be finished off. That leaves them 7-5 up. This inhibitor now open, as well as those super minions working their way down that middle lane, and it's going to be Overpower, I think, that has to go up there, clear those ones out, and then get back down if they want to keep this inhib alive.
Vander has flash available, and I think that's why he's moving a little bit further forward. He's going to have to go in soon.
Oh, here we go. There's a Tibbers coming down. He catches most of the arrow in air. Jankos gets knocked up, but he will repel out of it. Overpower's right in the middle. Lots of damage coming through. Millennium pull Overpower, but there is the Zhonya's use. What can Rocket do about it? Nothing. Shutdown comes in. That's the mid laner now dead. They're going to go for Vander. He won't survive either. This inhibitor is going down. Rocket are going back to the fountain to heal, but they've already got super minions coming straight down that middle lane, and look how fast those Nexus turrets go down. The first one already picked off. 3 men from Rocket are on the fountain. They pull one up. Jankos is going down to Kevin. Celebar might die to Creatine here on the fountain as well, or Creatine might fall foul himself. Doesn't matter. Nexus turrets are down. Nexus goes down, and that is the last place team in the LCS Millennium, taking down the league leaders Rocket. What an important victory for their season.
An incredibly important game, considering that Millennium lost the game 2 games ago. They bounced back, and barring a few small mistakes here or there, they played that composition well. Every time we talk about Millennium's initiation power or their ability to deal with starting a fight, they do better. When we've seen them play Leona, they do well. When we've seen them playing the likes of Annie and having J-Reed go in, they've done well in the past. This time, slightly different angle, got themselves that Blitzcrank hit. You have to give props to J-Reed. He landed a few clutch hooks, and the threat of the hooks definitely played into their favor.
And that's what I absolutely love about the European LCS right now. Last place, take it down first place. You wouldn't be able to tell if we didn't have the standings at hand and know exactly where they are right now in their form. Millennium have really struggled to pick up wins along their way throughout this season, but that one is such a vital one, because when you're planning how you're going to get out of that last spot and how you're going to avoid relegation, usually a win against the first place team is not on your list.
No, it definitely isn't, but it has to be a possibility. And I think the fact that Millennium didn't get down on themselves, they didn't pull a Fnatic. They didn't lose multiple back-to-back and get down on themselves. Millennium have always been very scrappy. If you look at their performances, it's always win 1, lose 2, win 1, lose 1, lose 2, win 1. It's always back and forth in that regard. And today, they have gone one-on-one, 1-for-1 on the day with 2 games left in Super Week.
But again, the question comes about consistency. They need to put in back-to-back wins, something that they've actually failed to do throughout this season so far. They've not won 2 games in a row.
Well, the pressure is on for them tomorrow when they do play that game. We've actually got some awesome replays, 2 of them lined up. First of all, let's pull the first replay up on your screen. It's the Ziggs Baron secure, I think is the term that I'm going to be going for in this one. Kerp manages to make an awesome Play. Now, from the start of the replay, Millennium pull a Baron maneuver, but they're not grouped up. I mean, look at that. Kevin is still sitting in the top lane. J-Reed's hanging out on the side. And as Rocket are moving themselves in, a very good teleport from Zazis just allows them to get better position. J-Reed gets dropped down thanks to that Children of the Grave. And what we're looking for in a moment or two is going to be Aranea going in. And look at that. The Mega Inferno Bomb from Kerp securing Baron. Trading a support for Baron's a trade I'll do any day of the week.
And I think they almost fooled Rocket in that situation. Rocket thought that was done and dusted. They forced them out there. They were all low HP. They were gone. And then they threw everything at them from that backside of things. A really, really nice steal and definitely helped them out on the way to that win.
Yeah, so that was the first of those hashtag LCS big plays. The second one that I want to talk about is the very last team fight. It was the game-winning team fight. Let's pull that one up on your screen. You'll see that as this fight plays out, let's start the clip now, you'll see that Overpower does manage to get himself towards Aranea. Decent flash Tibbers, Creatine uses his Quicksilver Sash, gets away, and unfortunately, he was too far away from Overpower. Now, this is the moment. Overpower gets kicked away by Aranea, and J-Reed says, nope, we want to get you down. Point blank, grabs Aranea, they surround him, and even though Zhonya's Hourglass delays the inevitable for a moment or two, I think Millennium eventually grabbed themselves a kill, and they pushed forward over the next 20, 30 seconds to win out the game. Millennium played their siege very, very well. It took them time, it was by no means flawless. They lost the first fight. They took 4 or 5 minion waves to get the mid-inhibitor turret. But they eventually used that rocket grab, used those bouncing bombs to their favor.
Like, you get no extra points for finishing quickly, and I think that's the important thing. Points overall for Millennium. Don't forget, you can share your heroic moments with us by tweeting them to @LOL Esports with the hashtag LCS Big Plays, and we look forward to seeing all of them. There's been an absolute boatload of them for today. It's going to be hard to pick them out.
It's going to be very hard to live up to today's games for the teams that play tomorrow. You know, we got 6 games tomorrow, and I think every single one of our games had a very high level of play.
Yeah.
And more importantly, the teams that we were not necessarily expecting to perform well did step up. Millennium, for an example.
Well, we're going to send it over to Shox and Deficio. We're ready to talk to Aranea from Millennium.
Thank you guys very much. And you do have Aranea from Millennium with us to talk about that impressive win against the first play ROC. What an up and down for you guys here today. Tell me about that game, and what do you really want about out of picks and bans for you guys?
I don't know. Every time we go to a game, we are like rethinking, like, what are they going to pick? What do you have to ban? What are they going to ban? What are they going to pick, and what we can counter-pick or something? After the SK game and this game, we were in the gaming room and we said, like, just YOLO. Like, let's pick whatever we want. Let's pick, like, whatever people is comfortable with, because at the end is how you're going to perform the best. And that's what we did. Like, we pretty much pick our best champions on every role, and that's how the game went for us.
And what about this Mordekaiser pick from Overpower? He was really hard to deal with for you guys because he came in from behind in teamfights, popped someone. Tell me about playing against Mordekaiser and Overpower.
The thing is, like, Mordekaiser is a tricky champion. Like, you can probably see that he's doing nothing, just farming. But in one teamfight, he can win the teamfight alone by a good, like, combo with the ultimate. The thing was, like, he only got ultimates from, I believe it was me and Jerry. We're always, like, giving Overpower the ghost. But and well, also, like, Kriton, third item was Quicksilver. I told him, like, go Quicksilver. If he gets his copy, and we are dead, like, all of us. So it was like, it's a trick pony for saying anyhow. Like, if he goes really fed, he can destroy the team. But in this game, luckily, he didn't got that fed.
Yeah, you're also mentioning Jerry. I know why you picked Blitzcrank. It's for the ROC grabs. No, seriously. Tell us how important it was, how vital it was for that pick when you went further into the game and when it was so important to pick people off.
The thing is, like, when we play or Screams or solo queue, whatever, Jerry, you can always see, is like Blitzcrank. And the funny thing is, like, he's a god with Blitzcrank. He pretty much grab everything. Then he goes thresh, and he misses every grab. But he's the same. But he's like, with Blitzcrank, he's everything, and he's super comfortable playing that. So we just go for it.
And if we look at the game itself, you guys obviously were ahead. You had a 10k goal lead, I think, when you were pushing down the inhibin bot. And yet the fights were very back and forth in general. You lost a few fights just with 1 or 2 guys dying. How was the game actually for you? Was there any time where you're like, oh, what's actually going on?
For me, it was like, I believe they got the first Drake. But then I think it was the second Drake or the third Drake. I don't know which one it was. We fight them. And it was an ace for us. I think we killed them all, or at least 4 of them. Even like Mundo Teleport, and the cooling from Kriton was like perfect, killing almost them all. And then I just like last hit some of them. So it was like a pretty good team fight for us. And in that moment, I believe like we're gonna win that game because with Thix and Lucian, super high range, we can just like siege towers so easy.
And how do you guys actually keep the mood up? Because you are the bottom team. You want to get these wins so you can get out of this bottom place. How do you guys keep the mood going?
I don't know. I mean, the mood this week was so far really good. Like, probably I was the only really dismotivated last weekend because my performance wasn't that bad, but I don't know why. Like, we were losing so many games, so many strikes of lose. And it was really hard for us to lose so many games. But at some point, we like our manager, Dreams especially, told us, like, don't play to win anymore. Play to have fun and just have fun on the games. And that's how we won.
Well, finally, of course, I would just want to ask one follow-up because that tweet that was very touching that you sent out about, I don't feel maybe that I should be a pro player anymore. Was that a heat of the moment thing? How do you feel now when you're on that stage and you grab such a great victory?
Well, thinking about, like, Alexis is 21?
Yes, I think so.
I'm almost 25, and he's even a dad. I should just retire and go to be... No, I'm joking. I don't know. It's just, I feel like so many junglers right now, they are really good mechanically. And that I feel like maybe this team with another jungler could be better. But the good thing I have is a really good team that is motivating me so much. Like, they are saying, like, don't say stupid stuff. You are the best. And also my fans. I have to give a shout out to all my fans and my family because they are always cheering for me and always, like, back me up. And that's something I really like.
Well, thank you very much. We, of course, also love having you in the scene, so don't think about retiring yet. Congratulations once again. And with the first day of this Super Week behind us, let's check in with Joe and Quickshot to see where things are in the standings.
Thank you very much, Shox. And after today's 5 matches, this is what the table currently looks like. In first place, we have ROC at 11 wins and 7 losses. Just 1 win behind them is a tie for second with Gambit and SK Gaming at 10 for 7. With 1 win behind them is the Copenhagen Wolves in 4th at 9 for 8.
And 1 win behind them is a tie between Fnatic and Super Hot Crew at 8 wins, 9 losses. And 1 win behind them in 6th place is Alliance at 7 and 10. And sitting at the bottom of the table, being led by the man with some maternal instincts, is Millennium at 6 wins and 12 losses, also 1 win behind Alliance.
What we're trying to say is that everyone's pretty much 1 win behind the next place in the league, so Super Week can change anything. And we don't call it Super Week for nothing, because tomorrow we have 6 electrifying games for you. We'll kick off the day with Gambit versus SK Gaming, moving then into the Copenhagen Wolves versus Alliance, and then Fnatic will take on the Super Hot Crew.
And if that wasn't enough, the second half of the day features Gambit taking on the Copenhagen Wolves, Alliance taking on ROC, and in the last game of the day, once again, will be Millennium, this time against Fnatic.
And the European Challenger Series begin their quarterfinals immediately after those matches, providing you with even more League of Legends gaming action to watch with Cloud9 Eclipse versus Departed in a best of 3. That's all happening on Wednesday, beginning at 5 p.m. Central European Time, which is 8 a.m. Pacific, other side of the world. So for myself, Quickshot, Shox, Demon, Deficio, and the entire live broadcasting team, thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you back here as the Super Week continues.
Mundo. Good. Come on. Keep going. Let me live still. I'm reading you. Can you kill him? Yes. Yes! Get him. Oh. Well played. Nice. Great job, guys. 1, 2, 3.
Banner's going to be jumped on. Alex gets himself the reset. He's trying to look for another juicy target. Will he get on towards him? Overpower's so low, but he's going to have. And he's getting on towards it. He jumps towards Salava. Can he get in towards it? He's going to run away again. Darian running interference from the backside. He does. Jankos goes in there. Jankos, will he take him down? No. Alex gets the kill. Gets another kill. It's a triple for Alex. And it's an ace for Gambit. What the hell just happened? They're still tanking out the Baron. The Baron's taken so low. Saz is being focused. Gambit get the Baron, but at what cost? Darian gets taken down. Alexis goes too deep. Gets hooked up beautifully. And that's going to be an assault battery. Overpower caught out. That's going to be the Guardian Angel pump. Diamond has to get back on towards Overpower. He has to focus him, but he goes down.
Kill them all! Band. I need shield. Okay, good job. Finish. Finish the game. Ignore them, finish the game. Really good job, guys. Just finish the game. Good job. Really good job. Good job.
Elise.
Mordekaiser.
More. Get More. Nice! Honey. I got suppressive. Keep on.